911, address of the emergency.
My son just called me. He killed his baby, and he's in the house.
Okay, you said that he told you he killed his baby? Okay, ma'am, listen to me. What's your name? What's your home address?
When a young woman embarked on a journey to find her biological parents, she envisioned heartfelt reunions and the warmth of familial bonds. But what awaited her was far from the loving embrace she had dreamed of. Delve into a story where the search for connection spirals into a chilling tale of unexpected turns. In the mid-90s, a young man named Steven Pladl embarked on a journey that would eventually lead to a series of mysterious and heart-wrenching events. At the tender age of 20, Steven met a 15-year-old girl named Elisa Garcia in the vast and uncharted territories of the online world. Their virtual connection quickly blossomed into a real-life relationship, a relationship that bore the fruit of love and birthed a child they named Denise. In the cold embrace of January 1998, Elisa, still a child herself, brought Denise into the world. The young couple, grappling with the realities of parenthood, found themselves in a whirlpool of emotions and responsibilities. Elisa recounted harrowing tales of Steven's abusive tendencies towards their innocent daughter, painting a picture of a home where darkness overshadowed the light of love. Denise, a fragile bud, was subjected to unimaginable pain as her father's hands became instruments of torment, leaving her tender skin marred with bruises. Despite the stormy weather that clouded their household, Elisa and Steven chose to unite in marriage, a decision that bore witness to moments of joy and sorrow, love and pain. The young couple, burdened with financial struggles and the weight of their actions, faced an agonizing decision that would haunt them for years to come. With heavy hearts and tears staining their cheeks, they made the heart-wrenching decision to give Denise up for adoption when she was just 8 months old. Elisa, her heart torn between love for her daughter and the desire to see her happy and safe, expressed the depth of her pain in an interview, saying, "It was incredibly difficult to give her up, but I wanted her to live and be happy." A new chapter began for little Denise as she was embraced by the loving arms of Anthony and Kelly Fuso, a couple residing in the picturesque landscapes of Dutchess County, New York. In the nurturing environment of the Fuso household, Denise blossomed into Katie Fusco, a name that symbolized a fresh start and a chance for happiness. The Fuscos showered Katie with love, providing her with the warmth and safety that every child deserves. Katie, a young, aspiring artist, nurtured her dreams, weaving vibrant tapestries of imagination with the stroke of her pen. She envisioned a future where her artistic prowess would merge with the digital realm, carving out a niche in the bustling world of digital advertising. For Katie, the act of creation was not just a passion but a sanctuary, a place where the whispers of her soul found expression on the canvas of reality. As the calendar turned its pages to January 2016, Katie stood on the threshold of adulthood, her 18th birthday unlocking a door to a past shrouded in mystery. A burgeoning curiosity took root in her heart, a desire to unravel the threads of her origin and connect with the biological parents whose blood flowed in her veins. The digital age bestowed upon her the tools to embark on this personal odyssey, leading her through the virtual corridors of social media to the doorstep of Elisa and Steven. The reunion was greeted with open arms, a family fragmented by time and circumstances finding solace in their rediscovered bond. Katie, who had nurtured dreams of honing her skills at a local community college, found herself drawn to the familial embrace of her parents and siblings in the picturesque surroundings of Henrico County, Virginia. Yet, beneath the surface of joyful reunions and newfound connections lay undercurrents of tension, the echoes of unresolved conflicts reverberating in the family home. Elisa and Steven's marriage bore the scars of time, a relationship strained to its breaking point, with nights spent in separate beds and days filled with uneasy silences. Elisa carried the weight of a troubled past, a heart burdened with memories of volatility and fear. She recounted tales of a home where anger erupted like sudden storms, a place where the fragile fabric of peace was constantly torn asunder by Steven's unpredictable moods. As Katie delved deeper into the family dynamics, Elisa unveiled the painful truth that lay at the heart of Katie's adoption, a revelation that bore witness to a cycle of abuse, a dark chapter in their family history that saw a helpless infant torn from the arms of her parents to protect her from the tempestuous nature of her father. Yet Katie remained steadfast, seemingly unswayed by the turbulent waters of her family's past. In the wake of Katie's arrival, a transformation began to take hold of Steven, a metamorphosis that saw him shedding the layers of his former self. He embraced the trends of the younger generation, adorning himself in fashionable attire, a father striving to bridge the gap of years and forge a connection with his long-lost daughter. Yet, the boundaries of their relationship began to blur. Lines were crossed as Steven ventured into uncharted territories, his presence becoming a constant fixture in Katie's personal space. The household found itself engulfed in a maelstrom of emotions as Steven took up residence on the floor of Katie's room, a decision that ignited sparks of conflict and drove a wedge between him and Alyssa. The confrontation reached its boiling point, culminating in a departure that saw Steven and Katie leaving the family home, a symbolic severing of ties that marked the beginning of a path fraught with uncertainty and apprehension. In the sultry haze of a summer day, precisely 2 months after the ink dried on the divorce papers that severed the marital ties between Steven Pladl and Alyssa, an unsettling reunion was taking shape in the quaint town of Parkton, Maryland. It was July 20th, 2017, a day that would etch itself into the annals of their family history as one of bewildering choices and blurred boundaries. Underneath the watchful eyes of the sun, Steven and his daughter Katie stood before an assembly of family and friends, their hands intertwined in a gesture that bore the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. The air vibrated with a tension that bore witness to the unconventional path they had chosen, a path paved with secrets and a willingness to defy the norms of society. As the seasons changed, Katie embraced motherhood with the birth of a child named Bennet, a beacon of innocence born from a relationship that blurred the lines between father and daughter. Bennet, a name that echoed the promise of new beginnings, became the symbol of a love that ventured into uncharted territories, a love that dared to defy the boundaries set by society. Yet, as the family nestled in the embrace of their North Carolina home, the sands of time slipped steadily through their fingers, each grain bringing them closer to a reckoning that loomed ominously on the horizon. The world outside their haven bore witness to laws and moral compasses that sought to maintain the sanctity of familial bonds, a world that would soon come knocking on their door with the cold hand of justice. In the bleak midwinter of January, the fragile bubble of their clandestine life burst as Katie and Steven found themselves ensnared in the unforgiving grasp of the law. Arrested and charged with incest, a charge that bore the weight of societal judgment and legal ramifications, the couple was thrust into the harsh glare of scrutiny, their love laid bare for the world to dissect and judge. The court echoed with the solemnity of justice as it handed down its decree, a mandate that sought to sever the ties that bound Katie and Steven in the eyes of the law. Released on bond, they found themselves navigating a world that demanded distance, a world that viewed their bond through a lens of taboo and moral outrage. The order was clear and unequivocal: no contact, a directive that sought to untangle the web of their forbidden love. In the aftermath of their legal ordeal, the tender life of young Bennet became the focal point of concern, a child caught in the crossfire of a relationship that defied understanding. Custody was granted to Steven's mother, a decision that placed the innocent child in the care of his grandmother, a guardian tasked with shielding him from the storm that raged around his birth and the complex dynamics of his parentage. Meanwhile, Katie found herself returning to the nurturing embrace of her adoptive parents, Tonu and Kelly Fusco, individuals who had raised her with love and understanding. Yet the tendrils of her biological family continued to weave a complex tapestry of connections, a tapestry that saw her journeying to her grandmother's home in Waterbury, Connecticut, every Tuesday and Thursday, a ritual that bore witness to the deep-seated bonds of family that transcended legal rulings and societal norms. But it would all change very soon. Haunted by the echoes of a relationship that had crossed the boundaries of societal norms, Steven found himself grappling with the devastating realization that Katie, the young woman who had become both his daughter and his wife, sought to sever the ties that bound them. A phone call reverberated with the finality of an ending, a plea for separation that bore the weight of unspoken pain and shattered dreams. As the clock ticked ominously, marking the passage of time in a home fraught with tension and impending doom, Steven embarked on a path of unimaginable darkness. In a desperate act of possession and control, he stole away with their child from his mother's protective embrace, a tender life named Bennet who had become the living embodiment of their taboo union. The house that had once echoed with the innocent laughter of a child transformed into a chamber of horrors as Steven succumbed to the darkest impulses of his soul. In a room devoid of warmth and love, the life of young Bennet was cruelly extinguished, a suffocation that silenced the vibrant heartbeat of innocence, leaving behind a lifeless form hidden in the shadows of a closet, a testimony to the depths of despair that had engulfed Steven's heart. As dawn broke on April 12th, a day that should have heralded visits and familial warmth, a sinister figure lay in wait outside a home steeped in memories and shared history. Steven's eyes, now devoid of humanity, tracked the movements of Katie and her adoptive father as they embarked on a journey, unaware of the predatory gaze that followed their every move. The roads between routes 7 and 55 became the stage for a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions as Steven unleashed a barrage of bullets, a violent eruption of rage and despair that claimed the lives of Katie and her adoptive father. The air vibrated with the echoes of gunshots, a symphony of death that marked the end of a journey fraught with pain and forbidden love. In the aftermath of the bloodshed, Steven turned the weapon upon himself, a final act of surrender to the darkness that had consumed his soul, leaving behind a tapestry of lives torn asunder and dreams shattered in the cruel grasp of death. He took the life of his spouse and her father. "It's unfathomable that this is the reality now," his mother said. She continued, stating that the spouse ended their relationship just a day ago through a telephone conversation. As a condition of Pladl's bail terms, his mother was entrusted with the care of his 7-month-old son, Bennet. On the eve of the tragic incident, Pladl retrieved his son from his mother, indicating his intention to bring the baby to New York for a visit with his biological mother. Authorities in Knightdale, North Carolina, came upon the tragic scene where the infant was found lifeless on a Thursday. In a statement, Knightdale Police Chief Lawrence Capps expressed profound sorrow and confusion over the tragic event, saying, "Our hearts are shattered, and we find ourselves overwhelmed with sorrow for this young life lost. Like everyone else, we are endeavoring to understand the series of events that culminated on the streets." As the news of the tragedy reverberated through the family, a heart-wrenching call to 911 echoed with the pain and disbelief of a grandmother who had lost everything. The voice of Steven's mother trembled with grief as she recounted the horrifying confession of her son, a tale of death and loss that left a family grappling with the unimaginable. In the midst of the darkness that enveloped the family, Alyssa Pladl found herself navigating a sea of grief, a mother torn between the loss of a child and the horrifying actions of a man she had once loved. As she struggled to make sense of the tragedy that had unfolded, Alyssa bore witness to the devastating consequences of a relationship that had defied the boundaries of love and morality. As the world grappled with the tragic narrative that had unfolded, a story of love, loss, and the darkest corners of the human heart, Alyssa stood as a voice of warning, a testimony to the devastating consequences of relationships that venture into forbidden territories. A call for awareness and understanding in a world struggling to comprehend the complexities of the human heart. It was a tale that bore witness to the tragic end of a family caught in the whirlpool of forbidden love, a narrative that echoed with the pain of loss and the desperate plea for understanding in the face of unimaginable tragedy.